Well, hey there, witches, pagans, and other rock hounds of YouTube. It's me, your boy Shane, and welcome back to my channel, as the case may be. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and film outside. It is a gorgeous day here. I think it is gonna hit about 60 degrees today, so I'm very excited about that. And it's just a beautiful, first week of spring, and I wanted to get a little bit of sunshine, and hopefully this works out well. I live in a fairly suburban type neighborhood. It's pretty quiet during the day. Hopefully we won't have too many interruptions. But the reason that I wanted to kind of film outside today, other than the fact that it's just stunningly beautiful and we've all been cooped up inside for way too long, is that I wanted to make a video about my crystal collection, and I thought it would be nice to kind of show them off in some, natural daylight rather than the interior of my apartment with, kind of the harsh overhead lighting and the, LED lights or the kind of yellow living room lights. I thought it'd be nice to get some daylight, some sunlight, so that you can kind of see them in all their glory. I'm not a huge crystal user for a couple of reasons. I am trained to be a little bit more, to use a little bit more active methods of magic, right? Whether that's singing or dancing or drumming or, anything that raises lots of energy. And I'm less of a fan of the more passive types of magic, like a, carry a crystal in your pocket or set up a crystal grid or set up, something sort of passive in the home. But these days, because of the nature of my schedule, which is insane, I have been turning to a little bit more of like the set it and forget it types of workings, and they work for me. So it's always nice to add a little something to the magical toolbox, right? But also, like, crystals are really hot right now for some reason. They're all over Witch Talk. People are, and I've had a couple of people ask me, actually, in the past few weeks about, like, I don't understand, like, what do you do with crystals? Like, how do you use them? What do you do with them besides, like, throw one in your pocket or your bag for the day? And I thought, you know what, that would make actually an excellent video, an idea of a topic to talk about is not just like, oh, what is this crystal for, right? Like, oh, rose quartz is good for love. Like, all right, cool, but what does that mean? But rather a video about like how I personally use my crystals. So what do I do with them? What kinds of occasions would I break them out for? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I picked my 13 most commonly used crystals, because 13, it's such a witchy number. And like I said, I'm not a huge crystal person, and part of that is because in the recent years we've kind of learned a lot about crystal mining and some of the unethical practices that go into sourcing crystals. I haven't bought new crystals in a very long time unless I'm 100% certain of where they are coming from. Because that's important, right? Like, you don't want to, use things in your magic, and you don't want to use things for, positive effect that have come from kind of like icky beginnings, right? And when I bought most of my crystals, I was like literally a teenager. I was like 18, 19, 20, working at a new age shop. And I didn't know a lot about a lot of these things. Now, of course, I'm significantly older and more educated, so, now it's a little bit of a different story. If I were going to purchase a new crystal today, that is a question I'd ask. But a lot of these were procured long before, I knew about the importance of these things. But anyway, without further ado, these are some of my faves. So this is a clear quartz point, or cluster, I guess. It's one of my favorites. I have a lot of clear quartz, but I there's just something about this piece that really calls to me. And that is important when you are selecting crystals. Like I said, besides knowing about their origins, you know, it sounds corny as fuck, right? But when you've got a whole bowl full of stones and you're kind of pawing through them, you know, you hear people say like, oh, you have to choose the one that speaks to you. But in my experience, it's 100% true, right? Like, one of them will call out to you. One of them will just, your fingers will be itching to hold it. And that's how I always felt about this little cluster. I just love it so much. And what I use this one for is if I am doing a working that I feel needs like a magical amplifier, like just needs an extra boost of energy, I will put this on the altar. I will put this somewhere central in the spell to kind of give it that, you know, kind of boost of power. You know, the quartz, clear quartz is like a pure power source, and it's also a great all-purpose crystal. So if you don't have the exact crystal that you need for what you have in mind, or the exact color you know, that you need for what you have in mind, this is an excellent substitute. It can kind of stand in for anything. Love it. This is my fluorite worry stone. You know, fluorite is a great stone for concentration and focus. It's supposedly good for mental clarity, analytical abilities, and the conscious mind. So I kind of love that this has been carved into like a worry stone. Like it's meant for you to kind of rub your thumb in there when you're kind of stressed or anxious. So I do use it that way. My personal nickname for fluorite is the student stone. So I will usually kind of give this guy a rub if I'm studying. If I'm trying to absorb a lot of information, if I'm, you know, certainly coming in handy for me right now being in school. So while I'm studying, I will just kind of work that over in that little groove there. And yeah, it's my little fluorite worry stone. I love, love, love rose quartz. This is one of my oldest crystals. This is one of the first crystals I ever owned. I think I was about 13 when I got this. And this is another one. This is the primary crystal I think of when I think about passive magic, right? So rose quartz is a stone of love, including self-love, which is really important to remember. It's a stone of healing and just all things gentle. So if there is a day that I'm being particularly rough on myself, or, you know, not having a ton of, you know, self-love or self-forgiveness, or just really being harsh with myself, I will stick this in my pocket and just carry it around with me all day. And every time I stick my hand in my pocket to get my phone or my wallet or a pen or whatever, or if I rest my hand against my leg and just kind of feel that bump in my pocket, you know, it's a reminder. It's a reminder. It brings it, you know, that goal of self-love and self-worth from the subconscious to the conscious. And it's like, oh yeah, I got to keep that in mind. I gotta work on that. So like I said, this is, it's not often that I just toss a stone in my pocket or my bag and you know, that is all I do with it, but that's one for those. I feel like every witch has a piece of amethyst, right? Or several. It's really, really common. It's really inexpensive. I used to have tumbled ones. I really come to enjoy the points now more. And amethyst is a stone of spirituality, peace, psychic protection, sobriety, dream work. I keep a piece just like this in the pouch with my tarot cards. And I also, if I'm trying to do any dream work, if I'm trying to have like a prophetic dream, or if I'm trying to get an answer to something in my dreams, I will stick this in my pillowcase or under my pillow. Also, you know, like I said, it's a stone of sobriety and abstinence. If I am struggling with, you know, sticking to a meal plan or some sort of nutritional thing, or staying away from alcohol or refined sugar, sometimes I'll carry this with me. And again, like the rose quartz, it's just a good reminder. Every time you go in your pocket, every time you go in your bag, you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working on this. That's right. So that's how I personally use my amethyst. My teeny tiny little blue lace agate. I love this stone so much. Blue lace agate is a great stone for tranquility and peace. I do kind of struggle with anxiety a lot of the time, and so I will carry this one, or kind of like the, either in my pocket or my bag, or like the Fluorite Worry Stone. I'll just kind of rub it between my fingers and, try not to break it into a powder on my high anxiety days when I just need a little self-soothing. It's an amazing stone for that. Selenite, I feel like, is another really popular one with witches. It's like all the rage, right? Like, you see selenite wands and selenite chunks and pieces and a lot of like, YouTube and TikTok stuff. Selenite is a great stone for cleansing, especially other stones and crystals. So if you have stones and crystals that cannot get wet, like I think Malachite should never be in water, and a bunch of others, you set them out on top of a big old piece of selenite, and you can cleanse them that way. I know it's used in Reiki healing. I don't do Reiki. I don't know much about Reiki. So what I use this for is, like I said, primarily cleansing other small stones. Like my little blue lace agate dude, he would fit right on top of there, right? I also have a longer piece, and it's like kind of carved like a spiral. It's gorgeous. Actually, I should have brought that out. And that's what I use to activate my crystal grids. My Moonstone. Another great stone for psychic ability. So this is, along with the Amethyst point, I keep this in my tarot pouch. Those two hang out together with my cards to just kind of, keep them attuned. Moonstone's also great for, female or lunar or goddess energy and awareness, kind of sync you up to, in attunement and in balance with those natural rhythms and cycles. A while back when I used to struggle with menstrual cramps and other symptoms related to PCOS, I would kind of carry this for healing for those issues. Malachite is a pretty versatile stone. I know it's got quite a few uses, but what I use this piece for is protection and safety while traveling. I don't know why. That's just something that just kind of always stuck with me. So anytime I travel, or if I go on a road trip or an airplane, I charge this up, or another, similar piece of malachite. I charge it up, and it's always packed in my luggage, or it stays on me. So, that's kind of all-encompassing protection, travel, protection magic for me, my luggage, my gear, my safety, all of it. I love Petrified Wood. I think it doesn't get enough credit. I just think it's gorgeous. All those beautiful little striations. Petrified Wood is great for, strength, patience, stability, staying the course where your long-term goals are concerned, anything having to do with longevity, and with grounding. I'm actually not a fan of hematite. I know that is kind of an unpopular opinion, puts me in the minority of magical practitioners, but hematite just never did anything for me. It just kind of leaves me cold, and like I said earlier, it kind of sounds goofy and lame, but you really do have to connect to the stones or, any of the other materials that you work with. So I was never a huge fan of hematite. I own a few pieces, I've done stuff with them, but overall, they're just okay. They're just there. When I need help grounding, when I need help coming down, when I'm feeling scattered and my energy is all over the place, I break out my piece of petrified wood, and it's got a nice smooth surface again, so you could just kind of like, This tiger's eye was another one of the first crystals I ever owned back when I was like 13. I've had this for forever. Tiger's eye is great for clarity, awareness of your own needs, your own boundaries. It's great for confidence. And what I use this piece for a lot of the times is for restful sleep, and for to keep nightmares away. So again, like I do with the amethyst, when I want to use it, I'll tuck it under my pillow, or I'll throw it in my pillowcase, so it doesn't get lost, and try to keep some of my nightmares and anxiety dreams away. This is a garnet. Garnet's great for physical health. also commitment and fidelity, and for balancing your body, your blood. So I use this, I carry this with me anytime I need physical strength or vigor. You know, sometimes if I have to work an extra long shift, like a double shift, or if I was entering like an athletic tournament, right, or something like that. Let me tell you, those situations are few and far between. But if I did, I would bring this beautiful dark garnet with me. Another similar stone to me is citrine. I've always used this citrine for physical energy, for endurance, and sometimes for courage. So any situation where like I would need a lot of you know, high energy or confidence, you know, let's say I'm traveling out to like make a presentation in front of like a corporate team, and like, you know, I want to do really well, and I want to seem, you know, kind of like lots of pep in my step. You know, I might pack that in with my supplies. Highly underrated stone, the Smoky Quartz. Smoky Quartz is great for emotional healing, helps dispel depression, and draws attention to the present moment. I have spoken a little bit before in these videos about, you know, my diagnosis with major depressive disorder. I've mentioned my anxiety and, you know, other kind of mental health things already in this video, and how I use some of these crystals. And Smoky Quartz, that's the sleeper hit for depression. That's really, I honestly should use it more. I should find a way to kind of incorporate it more. Again, it's kind of tough with crystals to find something to do with it other than, you know, throw it in your pocket, throw it in your bag, throw it in your luggage, whatever. But it's gorgeous. I think, again, it's a stone that doesn't get enough credit, and I should really think about ways that I could use this one a little bit more, because, you know, beyond speaking to a therapist and beyond taking my, you know, my SSRIs and doing all the other things that I'm supposed to be doing for my mental health, you know, getting adequate exercise and sleep and nutrition, you know, keeping a gratitude journal, all that sort of stuff. You know, why not throw everything in my arsenal at it, right? Everything at my disposal. Why not just, you know, hit it with that double-barreled, triple-barreled, whatever approach? So there they all are. Like I said, I've got a lot more. I've got tons more, but these are probably the 13 that I use more often, and you know, with the most specificity and the most intention. And I think they're super pretty. So if you like that little tour of my crystals, you know, feel free to leave me a like, leave me a thumbs up, leave me a whatever. Leave a comment. I would love to know what your favorite crystals are, how you use them, what crystals and stones you feel yourself reaching for most often, right? Because that might be different than your the crystals that are just aesthetically your favorites, right? I would love to keep the conversation going. I probably will not make a video about my crystal grids or my altar spaces, because I'm kind of funny about that. I mean, I'm kind of like, let's call it what it is, right? I'm kind of superstitious where that stuff is concerned. And this is absolutely 200% no shade to anyone who does show their altar on camera. I think that's cool, right? And the gods alone know, like, I've spent plenty of hours, you know, watching your videos and oohing and ahhing over your altar layouts. It's just, for me, like, it feels not just too personal, because, like, whatever, I put my whole life out there on the internet, I don't care. It just from a very practical point of view, like from a viewpoint of like self-preservation or self-protection, I would probably be uncomfortable showing off an altar where I was working like an active bit of magic, or a crystal grid where I had set up as an ongoing magical goal for myself. Like, why would I leave myself open to that, right? You know, shrine spaces to me are a little bit different. I think there's a distinction to be made there. You know, but the altar's a workbench, so that's a little bit different. I have considered doing an altar tour video or a crystal grid tour video that is, you know, reserved for my supporters on Patreon. So if you are interested in supporting me on Patreon, learning a little bit more, I will leave that link below. It is sort of set up, you know, so I could do a little bit more personal writing, some extra little bits and bobs of, you know, recipes and diary entries and school updates, because all of the funds that come in through that Patreon are earmarked for nursing school. So that's just a tidbit. And yeah, so tell me about your crystals, and have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful first week of spring. Love it. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. My favorite clear quartz points, and I love it because it's kind of big and chunky. It's got a lot going on. I think it's, oh God.